Hey everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tuba. Welcome back. If this is your seventh The Rookie Season 8 episode review, hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe out there in the bigger world. Are we up to 7? Are we up to 7? I can't recall. I believe we're up to 7. Yeah, we are up to episode 7. It's already kind of surmountable, and then 2 weeks from now, by the time February comes to a close, we will be halfway done with the season. I don't like that. I really don't like that. I mean, 18 episodes. I must be joking on that. Am I joking on that? Yeah, about usually, yeah, about 4.5 months. I mean, yeah, we gotta get that season 9 renewal someday soon. But yeah, so okay, apologies for that. Hope everyone enjoyed their Valentine's Day. Hope you enjoyed your weekends. Hope you enjoyed everything since the last episode, and hope you brace yourself, because this week's episode is a little bit more of like, this is like what I like. It's like not too chaotic, kind of streamlined, kind of focusing on the characters' mentalities, and just in general, just being a episode with suburban risk. It wasn't an episode that I was 100% looking at as like, oh my god, this is going to be a really game-changing episode. I didn't think about that going in there, but just the way the episode presented itself was kind of one of those episodes that, like, it may seem a little bit more chiller. It doesn't seem like a lot of crazy things are going on. There were still some pretty good standout moments, and I think the only other time I remember was kind of akin to it was, I believe, season 5, the last time we did like a really a good time cue undercover episode. I think it was season 5. I don't think it was season 6. I think it was season 5. Yeah, because Tim and Chen were dating the first go around, and this season 6 was very abbreviated, so that wasn't the case. But the fact is that this episode is presented in a very different way, that it's not conformed by the usual traditional broadcast episode means. And because of that, it allows it to kind of breathe in a different method, so that by the time you get to the end of it, it's like you don't even realize that, oh, some shit has happened. Pardon my French on that. But with all that being said, let's go through the Butcher recap and talk about this week's episode of The Rookie. We begin with a night shift, or at least a closing of a shift, where the pair of Nolan, Miles, Lucy, and Selena are responding to a distress call from a female. They're entering into an alleyway. They find blood. They find an abandoned vehicle, and they find a woman crawling out of a dumpster, clinging for life, while Nolan and Miles go to tend to her. Lucy and Selena are going up ahead to the car, where they do find a second woman, but this time completely dead as the first woman passes away. Obviously, Lucy gets a little bit sort of traumatized, as everyone else kind of realizes that this is one of those cases where they were not able to save the victims in time. It's just sadly part of the job. Sometimes you can't save them all. This immediately triggers the next day to Lucy to reaching out to Nyla, who is a bit on the not 100% on the full active front, since again IA is currently investigating her about her conduct during the Glassman case, but she is still very willing to give her advice and her opinions about cases should the need arise. And Lucy is asking her about just like kind of the telltale signs that these two women weren't, this wasn't just a traditional murder. This was straight up, these were drug mulers. These were, whether they were willingly or unwillingly, they were individuals that were transporting drugs, because of just how the severity of it, just of how it was, just kind of the telltale signs you can see from here. Their activity is very clear that they were working for a cartel, transporting from Mexico to California, but sadly they were stopped in their tracks because of that. So with that being said, obviously Lucy wants Nyla's permission to go back out there to the undercover world, which again we have not been in such a long time for her, because it's been a little bit over 2 seasons by this point. Which Nyla has some reservations, of course, of it's a lot of buying, now with everything going on. Like, it's not how it used to be in the old days, where you could just pitch it to the watch commander. There's a lot of different things, especially you're going into international waters. Again, it's not confirmed. Is this going to be a murder investigation? Is this going to be a drug bust? What is it? There's a lot of police politics that you have to go for to get this sort of investigation approved. And even though Lucy is a sergeant, she does need to be present at work. This is something she does care about, and she at least wants to get justice for these two women. Not because they are innocent or anything; they still committed crimes, but the fact that they didn't need to die for this, and that they probably were forced to do this and did not have any willingly intent to break in the law. And that's just the sad reality of it right now, which Nyla agrees with. And she's like, okay, I'll vouch for you. We'll see what we can do. And hopefully we can get some progress done. Hopefully we can. Nyla goes to talk to Tim. Tim said he'll work some stuff around the budget. He'll do some things around. He's a bit concerned considering the fact, again, Nyla is the subject of an IA investigation. Is this entirely the right thing for her to do at the moment, to be going undercover for about a month at least? Probably not, but again, Nyla does see that, Lucy has a point that, even if she gets her detective status taken away, if she gets taken off the force, that if she's able to do a little bit more extra good before she goes, that's all that's worth it. So Tim signs off on it, but however, they need another permission from Gray, considering the fact, again, even though that they'll figure out a way to make things work without them, they still need the FBI to sign off on this so they can go off into the actual international waters, which they go to Gray being the liaison for the LAPD, which Gray's like, no at first, because again, there's a lot going on. The task force is stretched thin right now. They got too many other targets to worry about that focusing on a very local murder that may have some connections to a drug front, may not be entirely exactly what the task force is about, but Lucy gives a very profound speech that, again, similar to how she was to Nyla, of this isn't about the drugs, this isn't about that, this is about the fact that, you assume that because of the nature of the crime, that these two people didn't have souls, they didn't have courage, they didn't have something like at least integrity to protect them to being alive, and they're gone. So the fact that you're kind of part of the problem, like sweeping this under the rug, kind of classifying this as a drug murder, then you're no better. And obviously Gray's like, oh, well, you're not under my chain of command anymore, so I can't fire you directly. So he's like, he'll talk to Garza about it, but they also need one extra copy because they are going to Mexico. They do need at least someone on the task force that speaks Spanish, so that if anything happens, and as well as communicate with the local government, they have someone. And obviously Elena's there, which I completely forgot she was here. And I'm like, boy, if you making Elena a recurring on the Rookie, I'm all game for it. Again, I'm always down for any of the feds becoming recurring. I'm always 100% down. Find a way to make it work. I know we got a whole stack roster right now, but if we can make it work, we can definitely make it work. So she's the game on the idea front. Meanwhile, while Tim is, of course, giving that approval for that mission to go for, they're focusing on another bigger mission within the LAPD confines, as Nolan and Miles are being tasked to Lopez and Wesley to an adjacent spear on a suspect that they need to bring into custody, but has been evading all sorts of law enforcement for the past couple of weeks. So they are posting scheduled watch fronts in front of potential marks that they could be making an appearance in, and they're being selected to go take care of the baby mama's house. Hopefully, maybe he'll show up for a booty call or check in on the baby, whatever the case might be. Regardless of the case might be, they're assigned to that. Keep in mind that there is a possibility that even though Miles is in the last weeks of his FTO program, that this is a very crucial time for him, considering the fact that while this entire surveillance detail could take up the rest of his time, he is still responsible for having a great impression on everyone to make sure he passes the FTO program once this is all over. I believe, I keep forgetting there's no third storyline to an extent. Well, yeah, Nolan and Bailey are going through their separation withdrawals, going through the shifts of that now Bailey's off in DC, or at least in this case in a whole another different production studio. So they're trying to mitigate for that. And Miles is trying to take initiative of, improving his, knowledge of the LA streets, trying to get more into the culture so that it can help him better out with his policing, even though Nolan kind of advises him not to do that, considering the fact his methodology is a little bit more brash, and right now he's in the training program, he needs to kind of keep it a little bit more on the chill side. That's kind of all he can recommend at this time period. Lucy and Nyla decide to embark on their new identities. They are a drifting couple who has been wandering, just, seeing the world in their van, hashtag van life, which they will be hopefully inceptizing themselves into the culture down in Mexico in hopes that maybe they'll get scouted in the similar nature that the two deceased subjects were previously. Obviously, again, it's a pretty big ask, while Tim and Lucy are navigating the best they can. Of course, obviously, Tim feels a little bit salty, like the fact that you just moved into the house. And in a way, you're kind of moving out, which Lucy's like, well, if you think of it like that, yeah, but like if it's a benefit, like when I come back, it makes me miss you even more. Of course, and obviously, Nyla's feeling a little bit homesick since, again, she's going to be leaving James and their very young daughter behind, which we have not seen that daughter in so many years. She's so tiny, but she's so adorable. Obviously, Nyla's reminded the fact this is why she gave up undercover life, to not miss any of the big moments of her children's life. So definitely this is still a big blow to her, but however, they do have a mission at hand and they have to go through it. Then we go into a bit of a montage where Nyla and Chen are off in their van, heading off to Mexico, beginning their way to incepting themselves into the culture down there, while Nolan and Miles are just staying in a car, just watching the house, hoping to get a glimpse, and that's all they've been doing. We get a couple of interludes with everything going on, as well as Gray, Elena, even Juarez are kind of posted outside nearby, just in case if anything does happen, that they are there as well to do so and to be prepared for any matters that may occur. So everyone's kind of busy, and we'll get to some of the funny stuff at the very end. But so from there, we cut about maybe like a week or two into the thing. Obviously, now I was feeling very homesick at this point. Lucy's trying to comfort her a little bit. That obviously, if you really think about it, you're just one step closer to getting back to your family. Well, you may not know the time period, but we will get there eventually. We will. Even her giving a little bit more of insight into her past life, which we haven't got to see much of Lucy's, anyone's past lives in a while, speaking, because everyone's kind of been just focused on the present. Lucy was going to be in grad school, or at least in college, and she dropped out because I guess her family, we already knew this part, but her family really wanted her to get a lot of PhDs to really explore to being a doctor and exploring all that. But the sad nature of still even that component was the fact that, again, it goes back to where we were in season 1, season 2. Like, Lucy never really had a choice on her future, so she decided to go into a van and kind of explore the world for a little bit before she kind of really try to figure out exactly what can her life look like, without going to grad school and such things. And Nyla giving her insight a little bit about, just the fact that while her parents may not have been 100% supportive of her career choice, they still wanted what was best for her, and were still able to turn the other cheek about it. Which also reminds me of the fact that, again, this is a full circle moment where, like, season 2, Nyla and Chen really were not in the best conditions with each other. Now, all the way in season 8, I mean, they already were considered, like, quasi-family for years now, but, like, this being one of those rare episodes where, like, if you really look back on season 2 to now, it's like so much has happened, so much that, the two characters have grown and changed, and, like, now having mutual respect and love for each other. It's wonderful to see. I believe from there, eventually Nolan and Miles are about to, like, call it a day, about to really get down to it. They do finally catch the guy finally posting in front of his baby's mama's house, but sadly Miles opens his freaking door too early, and this tips them off, and then the guy starts running away. Miles decides to run suit. Nolan tries to follow in the vehicle. It goes through an elaborate chase scene throughout the back streets of LA, going into some very questionable destruction of property and civilian safety, even them going through a car wash, which for some reason Miles totally loses him, that even by the time the other cops arrive at the other end of the car wash, he's already gone with the wind. And, this is a huge blow to Miles. This is not like, he should have stayed in the car. He should have stayed put. They should have kept the surveillance going, at least to start tracking his movement when they had more forces, so that would be more difficult for him to get away from. So by the time we get back to the station, obviously, Bradford's chewing him out. Obviously, he's like, this is not acceptable. You basically screwed us over even further, because this guy was already hiding like a gopher. Now he's going to be even more deeper into the ground. So finding him now is going to be next to impossible to do so. It still has to be done, but now it's basically impossible to do so to speak. then we cut over back to the to beach life with Lucy and Nyla. They do finally get approached by someone who is a match for a member of a certain cartel. Immediately pointing her like, you know what, just do us a favor. Like, I was supposed to go to LA, but I'm really busy. So can you just drop off this box of medication? I'll pay you $1,500 for it, and we'll take it from there. And they agreed to it, obviously, to get it in on it. Not being too eager to do it, but definitely, you know, enough to like it feels believable. So they're able to pursue forward with like their actual matter, courting a meetup spot back in California, which Lopez is standing point as watch with Bradford overseeing, which Bradford had to take a job as a cashier at a fast food restaurant. That is wonderful. I heard like some interview where like I guess the internal thing was like when Tim volunteered to do this to obviously to be close to Lucy, to at least have a little bit of a reconnection with her. The other factor was the point of the fact that the last time someone volunteered for a special duty assignment, it was Nolan and Bailey getting sent out to Prague, and freaking Tim got freaking cashier at a fast food restaurant. That's pretty funny. That really is. Even like Lopez taking a picture of him in the universe, which are like, I guess season 1 callback where like they just take advantage. Like Bradford is a very straightforward man, so any opportunity they can get to embarrass him, they take it. They take that opportunity to the grave. They make the drop, they make the exchange, everything goes well. So now there's the buy-in. They do notice extra coverage in the area that was not notified to them. So definitely this was a test to make sure they do so. So most likely when they come back, they'll most likely get the bigger shipment and hopefully the bigger buy-in. So that's where they're playing at here. Lucy and Bradford get a brief reunion before they have to part ways again as they return back to Mexico to pick up the next shipment. Meanwhile, Miles is pondering on his future, calling upon Ridley, of all people. I know they're trying to recover their friendship, I know, to basically figure out what to do. And, you know, Miles wants to take initiative and decide, well, I'm very much on the fence. So instead of going even more on the fence, I'm going to go and find the dude, which I'm like, my dude, you could have gotten fired. Like, but okay, sure. Like, so he's going to work his regular shifts, and then at night he's going to be posting back at the house, and hopefully maybe he'll get to see him again. And this time, you know, catch the guy in action and hopefully bring him in and hopefully get some sort of accommodation, which I'm like, where has that ever gone to pass? When has that ever worked out for you? And Ridley's going to join them, considering the fact that we need Ridley here for some reason. But Miles has a plan. Like, if they successfully capture him and Ridley's part of it, this could go a long way into potentially maybe getting Ridley back in the FTO program in the future, which I'm like, my dude, the man is still recovering with a metal foot. It's going to take a while before anyone would consider him to go back to active duty. But if it doesn't go wrong and only Miles is able to do it, then yeah, Ridley will just be scrubbed away from the involvement, which he signs on for because he's got nothing else to do, to be honest with you. So we get another kind of a mini montage. It's been another 2 weeks later. And I believe by this point, by the time Lucy and Harper return back to the beachfront, immediately right away, the guy's ready for another shipment. Everyone's back to ready to go. However, they do get a hit. They found a recent piece of evidence that could connect to who killed the 2 girls, which turned out to be the beachgoer that Chen and Nyla met in their first day at the beach. So immediately, like, that means that these people that they're courting with are not even close. Maybe they are related to it, but at least right now they are not the murderers. However, when they are offering a contract work of like, you know, you do this for us, you pay out, we pay you out, and we keep going from there. Obviously, immediately Chen's like, okay, if we know the identity of the murderer, we can like end this operation now, arrest him on that alone, and then yeah, we're good to go. But Nyla's old-fashioned senses kick in, saying that, well, this could be something bigger. Like, if we keep doing this for a few more weeks, like, eventually we could, you know, get the bigger fishes, and then it will be a double whammy, which Lucy's like, no, this is not a drug bust. This is getting a murderer. We got the murderer right there. We just get him, and we're done. We go back to normal. But it feels like the how I view it is like Nyla is recapturing the spirit of her glory days, regardless of the punishments that it caused her in life. And secondly, is that a part of her really does not want to go back to dealing with IA, to dealing with the fact that she may lose her job. Like, she does not want to go back to that. So maybe just having a reason to go back undercover, being with Lucy, it kind of is like a vacation away from home. But Thankfully, Lucy manages to pull her out of it, of that mentality. They pull out their guns, and everyone manages to arrest not only just the main cartel dude, they also managed to arrest the murderer, who originally was like saying like it wasn't me, and then eventually he's like, yeah, I'm a communicator with a rival cartel. Once they see these guys showing up, that means a shipment must be coming sometime soon. We cornered them. He was part of the last capturing, but it went sideways, and he had to kill them both to protect his identity. But now it's over. So now he is arrested. It is done. He is being taken away for a very long time. Back over to Miles and to Ridley. They're about to call it a night because they're just 2 weeks in, no progress. Again, the gopher went all the way back in his hole, so it really makes no sense for him to come back anytime soon. So they're about to call it quits. Ridley taking off a little bit to go take a piss nearby. However, Miles does get some movement on the house, allowing to take a closer look when the guy sneaks up behind him. Apparently, he's not pleased that he's watching his woman like that, which, of course, Miles is very much like just trying to play it cool, play it calm, play it collected. But however, the guy was very much, forceful. Like, I know who you are. I know you tried to chase me down through a car wash. I don't forget that sort of thing. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to get out of the car. I'm going to take you to someplace pretty quiet, and we're going to forget about you ever existing at all. The baby mama does show up, trying to kind of calm him down, defuse the situation as is. Ridley does manage to come back at the nick of time to kind of oversees it. He calls Nolan up to let him know, they're like, hey, Ridley's about to get Miles is about to get kidnapped. I need you here. We need all hands on deck right now, which Nolan calls in the cavalry, trying to assemble quickly down there to go get Ridley, Penn before he gets taken. Eventually, the baby mom tried to convince him to take him a little bit more further away, give him a little bit more time to live before disposing of him. Because again, right now, killing a cop right now with your heat on it, it's not a good combination. More people are going to be coming down for you. Which he's like, again, he's trying to assert his authority. He's trying to assert his manliness. So no, this guy has to die now. Ain't gonna fly. So they both agree. Okay, fine. We'll let him live for now, but we're taking him into custody. They're about to start driving away, but thankfully Ridley has some ingenuity thinking to manage to slow down the car, which gives Penn enough opportunity to kind of take him down, with Ridley providing backup quickly enough. So he gets captured. Everyone comes in force, which I'm like, that's a really quick response time. Not gonna lie to you. The fact that Nolan and there got there in 2 minutes flat is really impressive. Or if they just lived close by to the situation. Thankfully, Miles is fine. Ridley's all safe and sound as well. Everyone seems to be good and everything. Sadly, however, that's when Bradford steps into the picture. Obviously, at first he was concerned that is Penn hurt? Does he need medical attention? And Nolan's like, nope, he's perfectly fine. Which Bradford's like, good, because I'm chewing him out right here, right now. Which again, he chews him out severely hard to the fact that again, you are in the FTO program. You're doing off the clock police work. You're doing a undercover sting that has not been pre-approved. You caught a felony without backup, without authority, without any sort of supervision from your TO, from your watch commander, from no sergeant, nada. The fact that, even though that it goes back to I think it was season 3, where doing actions that may justify in good does not justify the actions as being good. You can't go rogue like that. And, obviously today worked out, but again, another time period, Miles will be dead, Ridley might be dead, and they'll be getting this guy with 2 police officers hung over his chest. It didn't happen this time, but it may not happen all the time. But however, Bradford, being who he is, refuses to continue him forward and decides to fire him there on the spot, that he is done with the FTO program, which again is a huge blow. Nolan gives a very solemn sight of disappointment that all you need to do was just stand back, let us do the work. And now, even though you got the guy, now you cost your job. So that's a very sad, fortunate case of it. But thankfully, Nolan decides to talk to him in his stead, letting him know that I talked to him behalf of your actions, that we have decided to extend your FTO program by an additional 6 months. Yes, that much. Basically, he is going to be in the program for another 6 months on top of his remaining existing time. And obviously, Penn can't really complain. He's like, I'm grateful to still have a job. He's still suspended for 2 weeks, but regardless of that, he will return back to the LAPD in good stride, and hopefulness that it all works out in the end. Lucy and Nyla also come back home from the undercover op. Again, like similar vibes of like when you come back from vacation, like you don't want to go back to reality, but it is time to go back to reality, and that even though no matter what happens with the investigation, that Nyla proved today again that she is worthy of holding the badge, to having this honor, protecting and serving everyone, and that will never be taken away from her. Nyla reunites with James and her daughter, embracing her with whole hearts, happily as may be, as Lucy drives away to eventually get back into bed with Bradford after so long. Yeah, I also remember, yeah, Nolan also gets a cake call from Bailey, at least trying to keep their long distance relationship going. I believe the last thing I forgot to mention was like, yeah, so Selena and Elena are friends now, which I'm like, that's great. Hopefully that means she'll be coming over more often than not to our side of the rookie verse. As the three of them decide to just go watch a movie and get things mind off Miles' suspension for the time being. At least he still has a job. He may be stuck in the FTO program for a while longer, but at least he still gets to serve at the LAPD, and that's all that counts. And that was it for this week's episode of The Rookie. I really did enjoy it. I think getting an episode just to focus on like the consequences of Nyla's actions was beneficial to kind of get her to be, to feel her as a human again. I feel like season 7 mainly treated Nyla, well, besides the James relationship drama, as like kind of like someone like, in her position of work, she is very much untouchable. She is a detective. She is just following the orders and giving everyone, kind of instructions of what to do. When in reality, this season, of course, obviously, she may have kicked ass in season 7, but now that's coming back to kind of bite her in the ass, where, yeah, like her actions, her wording did not have proper chain of, authority. It does not work out like that. And, again, her basically, after everything she sacrificed for, after all that she lost, the fact that all that might be in vain, I don't blame her for not wanting to, like, take that on. No one wants to do that. But eventually you kind of have to. You don't really have much of a choice in the matter, so to speak. But with that being said, yeah, no, I believe like, getting Nyla to kind of, come a full circle moment with Lucy with her undercover journey, which, will Lucy ever become a proper undercover, like, operative for her job, daily job? I don't think so, but definitely this is one of those full circle moments where like, I think if we ever get to see undercover Lucy again, I think it will be her mentoring a new person. And I think her and Nyla had this like sweet culmination since season 2 of their journey together. And I think, again, it's the longer the show gets, it's all about now the payoffs of like, stuff from the earlier seasons now coming back to kind of come full circle on. And that allows things to kind of, be much more sweeter as a result of it. And for Miles' case, again, Miles is proving himself to have a continuous second act, trying to keep his journey fresh. Sure is setting him back in the FTO program, kind of a way to still technically have a rookie on the show. Yes, 100%. This definitely buys them until the end of the season, even into season 9, if we do get one. But just the fact is that, all of this has kind of, came into the way of how it was, and how it may be, is very forthcoming. And yeah, you know what? I mean, I'm very hard on Ridley. I'm still going to be hard on Ridley, but you know what? These little moments of his redemption story, maybe he'll pay off. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure. I'm still not going to be anytime soon on the Ridley front anytime soon. But overall, this was a really great episode. I love the balance of this, the more streamlined focus that it, still having everyone on deck, but still giving everyone, the true storylines with Nyla, and for Miles, Miles, including even Chen, the focal front there was all worth it. And I think this was the perfect balance for this episode. And it just showcases that, that less is more, and mostly preferred by myself, so I don't have to keep jumping into a different storyline. With that being said, I'm giving this episode 2 thumbs up. Let me know down below, what did you think of this week's episode of The Rookie? Did you love it? Did you like it? Let me know down below. I'd love to have a conversation with you about it. But I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Two from ActionX, reviewing every episode in the 8th season of The Rookie. If you want to know what we're doing normally, What's the Two besides our rookie episode reviews, I believe next week, I believe so, we will be back with Madlock. It's been a while coming. It's been a few months, but we're back next week, I believe so. If there's no more delays, I think we'll be back next week. So stay tuned until then. There is a little bit of news in the larger Rookie Universe expansion yet again. I don't think I've talked about this in a while. I think the news came out. No, it did come out during season 7, but it just takes so long to like develop a show. They are making another Rookie spinoff, the Rookie North. They have a cast. They have a production start date. I believe it's already in series order, so congratulations to them. I'm not 100%, so I'll have to double check. I'll re-clarify that in the next video, but I'm pretty sure they're going straight to series. So with that being said, yes, just to answer the question, when the Rookie North does premiere, we will be doing those reviews when we get to it. We are believers of the Rookie. I love spin-offs, and I want to keep going with that. So that will be coming at some point in the future. And another thing coming for the future, and again, we have been huge fans of Stephen Amell, the actor on the channel. We have reviewed half of Arrow, Damn You Sal. We have reviewed all of Heels in a non-definitive manner, and we have reviewed the entirety of Suits LA, kind of definitively. We're excited to announce that, not me specifically, but like in the world of Hollywood, that he has been cast in a new show coming out soon. This time, I believe, to Fox, a Baywatch reboot, which I'm happy he's getting work. We will be reviewing that. We're going to keep going in the Stephen Amell bandwagon until he's done acting, whenever that is. But yeah, we will be reviewing Baywatch in the future, whenever those shows come out. The future wasn't too surprised. The more things happen naturally, it just extends us even more. So I'm very happy to get that in the bandwagon. But just that was just a minor piece of plug-in for like the future of what's in the tube, when things, kind of come to play, so to speak. But yeah, with all that being said, if you only care about the Rookie, apologies for the side tangent. We will be back next week with another brand episode review for you to enjoy. So stay tuned until then. But again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Like, favorite, share if you want to. Ring that bell and follow us on social media for more. But until we see each other again, thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe out there. Be good to each other. And as always, peace out.